Hello, everyone, and welcome to Connecting with Jennifer Filzen. I have with me Matt Michel, who I met at the HVAC conference I went to in Chicago. That was the AHR Expo. Matt was one of the instructors over there, and this guy is a superstar within the HVAC industry. Welcome, Matt Michel.
Thank you.
You taught a really exceptional class about business management. And I was just so taken with you. I said, okay, this is the guy. This is the ultimate coach. This is the guy that has a marketing background. And I just was so impressed with you. And your bio is phenomenal. I was even telling you earlier, this is a little intimidating. Like, it's almost like I'm glad that I met you before I saw your resume, because I might not have ever approached you. I'd been shy. I'd be like, oh, he's too big to talk to someone like me. But tell me a little bit about your journey and what makes you special and unique and how you received all these accolades.
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm special or unique at all. I mean, I'm a recovering engineer. That's why I'm charismatically challenged. I'm a guy who was not a great engineer. I fell into the HVAC industry, didn't even know what HVAC stood for when I joined it. I was a manufacturing engineer, and they brought me in because they had some automation projects coming, and they needed somebody to do that. And I knew all about this coming out of college. But in the meantime, they had me doing design engineering, which I was totally untrained for. But I managed to slug through it and wound up at Lennox Industries, which is a major HVAC unitary equipment manufacturer, and was in charge of factory automation there for 9 different facilities, and was invited by the marketing guys to move into marketing because I had some unique talents that marketing lacked. Like, I could add a column of numbers up and get the same answer twice in a row, and that was beyond most marketers.
Okay, guilty. Math is not my strong point, but coming up with creative ideas, yes. So the fact that you actually have the metrics and the ROI nailed down, bravo.
Again, I did what most mediocre engineers do, and we move into marketing, and then we get to tell all the really good engineers with the pocket protectors, what they need to be doing. So it's sort of like the old Dilbert cartoon, where he said he gets reassigned to marketing, and he packs up all his stuff, and he goes up there, and there's 2 columns, and there's this banner across, and there's people in togas with martini glasses, and it says marketing 2 drink minimum. Well, that was my impression of marketing. And it wasn't all that far off, because, I was in manufacturing. We got to go to Stuttgart, Arkansas in August, or Marshalltown, Iowa in January, air conditioning season and furnace season. But then the marketing guys were going to Orlando, and they were going to Las Vegas. And when we could get a promotion in manufacturing when somebody retired or died. Well, in marketing, when they wanted a promotion, they just created a brand new position. And so they created one for me, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll give it a try. And found out that I'm better in marketing than I am in engineering, and did well, and ended up running marketing west of the Rockies for Lennox before I was 30. Left there to get P&L experience and at Titus, which is a completely different part of the industry. Was completely in over my head, and managed to grow the business in the middle of a major industry downturn. And then, if that wasn't radical enough, I left, the commercial high-rise office building market to start a residential franchise system. And I did that, and, from scratch, and built it up, and then went into consulting and was a marketing consultant for Decision Analyst, a major marketing research and consulting company, and served the Fortune 100. I mean, diverse set of clients, everybody from Amtrak to Time Warner to Earthlink to Nokia and Motorola, and yet the HVAC industry still came calling, and finally I launched a company called Service Nation in 2002, which put me officially in the entrepreneur ranks. I mean, where I'd done it before is with other people's money, This time it was still with other people's money, but I had to go out and raise it, and it was, me on the list, and we launched the company, and when I tell people I'm sort of an ordinary entrepreneur, I mean even that was ordinary because the average age of an entrepreneur is 42, and that's what I was when I launched the company. And I hired a great team. They were a tremendous team. We had a great culture, and credit all goes to them. And after 15 years, I had investors that were looking for their money back. I couldn't afford to buy them out and be fair about it. I could probably have made them an offer and they would have taken it, but it would have been cheating them. So we had to sell the company. So we went to an investment bank and went through a long ordeal, finding one, learning about the whole process, then the process of selling the company. And we did that, and we got a very good return for our investors. And I stayed on for another 5 years, and in January of last year, it was time to go. My COO was leaving. If he left, I would have had to actually do some work. So I said, no, it's not for me. I mean, I'm just gotten used to self-actualizing, and so I I left, and to fill up my time, I still do writing and speaking, and I'm going to do more of that. But I also made sure that I did a hunting or fishing trip every month, and so I've been trying to do things like that, and we have a ranch, and the ranch is is sucking money to the point where I probably should go back and earn something.
Your ranch sounds a lot like winemaking. How do you make a small fortune in winemaking? You start
Start
with
with the
a
ones
large
with,
fortune and then yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
And you have a new book coming out. I really want to know more about your book. Can
yeah.
you talk about
I need
that
to
one?
send you a draft on it. The book's called Contractor Stories, and Contractor Stories is really a series of short stories that each teach a business lesson. And these are focused, for really for anybody, but it's mostly directed at small business people. There's lessons that are about sales, and how everybody is a salesman. And like a lot of times, technicians in technical businesses don't think that they think that sales is a four-letter word,
Right.
and but really all it is doing is it's transference of belief, and it's helping the customer buy. I used to have a salesperson work for me that he was actually the first guy to sell $1 million of residential replacement sales in the HVAC industry, and his business card said assistant buyer, and he used that as an icebreaker. And people would say, "What is this?" And he said, "Well, I'm here to help you buy the best comfort system for your home." And in reality, that's what his role was.
Nice.
What's your role when you're dealing with the customer is to give them options and give them information, and then let them make the decision they want to make.
I love that assistant buyer. That is if that doesn't say I'm sitting next to you as opposed to I'm sitting across from you, right? Like assistant
Right.
buyers, I'm sitting on the same side of the table with you. We're looking at the options together and I'm helping you. God, that is such a service-minded, beautiful, beautiful title. Love that. Love that.
So, but the long and short of it is I've had a blessed career, and I'd like to say that I'm brilliant and did a bunch of no, I took risks, and I took smart risks, and not all of them paid off, but enough of them did eventually to success resulted, and it's not anything that anybody can't do.
You're absolutely right. I don't know about you, but I have a whole host of mentors and coaches that have helped me rise to the level that I am today and still growing, right? I got my real estate investment coaches, I've got my business coaches, I've got my marketing coaches. Even though we are marketers, I look to the luminaries like Gary Vaynerchuk and Neil Patel and Chris Do and Tony Robbins and others that are just brilliant marketers. Taylor Swift is a brilliant marketer as well. I am watching her and observing, and I'm loving it. And whoever you were rooting for, I was so happy that was such a good Super Bowl game. Wow. That last bit, woof,
I,
was
I
nail
was
biter.
rooting for my plane to land. I
Oh,
was in the
really?
air.
Were
So
you really?
yeah, no,
I love it.
yeah.
I love it.
So
So when does your book come out, Matt?
it's going to come out soon, and really, this is on me. It's just I'm writing comes easy to me. I write well. I write for 5 trade magazines, but editing does not come easy. And once we got
Bravo.
into the edit mode,
Yeah.
I just slow down, and then I become guilty of what I accuse other people of, and I can procrastinate. But the book is there's things in there like um, one of the chapters a, a is a box of success, and it's because success, and the ultimate thing is success doesn't come in a box, but if you believe it does, then it's going to change your outlook on the world. There is one that's a cup of coffee, and it's about a guy sits down, he's having his own pity party, and somebody comes in and sits down next to him and asks to share the table, and they engage in a conversation. And in the course of the conversation, the old man who sits down draws things out of this guy, and he starts to realize that things really are better than he thought, and he really is in control of his life, and he is in control of his company. And finally, he sits back and he goes, "Who are you?" And the guy says, "I'm just like you. I ran a company like yours. I saw your truck when you pulled up. I thought I'd join you for a cup of coffee." And he goes, "I'm sold my company, and I'm doing well, and you can too."
Ah, bravo. And isn't it wonderful? It's like we are not on this ladder all by ourselves. We are climbing. There are people ahead of us, there are people behind us, and we're all cheering each other on, lending a hand to get up to the next rung. It really is a marvelous thing. So that's amazing. When did you know in your life that it was okay to ask for help? Because there are a lot of entrepreneurs, as I'm sure you've seen, that don't ask for help and they think that they know it all. But I would put money on it that you were so successful because you leaned in and you asked. How old were you, and what were the steps that you took to ask for that help, get that mentoring?
I've asked for help my whole life because I probably need it more than other people. Um, you know, I, 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 I mean, and what you were saying is success is not a zero sum game, right? It's just your success does not detract from my success,
No,
and
not at
and
all.
there's and the idea is that we aren't slicing up an economic pie. We're growing a pie bigger for everybody. So
Yes.
I'm I cannot believe people who are unwilling to help others, because whenever you help others, inevitably it comes back to you. And part of that is just servant leadership. And part of that is, if you want to call it, karma, as you give, so you receive. I mean, however you want to describe it. But there is a balance to the world. And frankly, the more you help others, the more it seems to come back to you. And the people that are most generous on helping others are the ones that seem to benefit the most from it as well. So,
That is so, so true. And I love it. You are demonstrating clearly an abundance mentality. And I don't
absolutely.
know if you saw this, I'm sure you did actually, when you were doing marketing, when you were leading your various businesses, when you were interacting with the smaller business owners, right, who were leaning on you for assistance. Sometimes I don't know about you, but I've gotten some clients that have said, okay, I want you to help me beat out my competition. Okay, that's a desirable goal. However, just by you saying that shows me that you have a scarcity mentality. If you focus on what you do best and have a growth mindset and abundance mentality, you don't have to worry about the competition. Because, like you said, we're all growing a bigger pie. If you run out of pizza, you just go and make more pizza. Like there's more opportunity and more business around the corner at every single turn. So beating out the competition. I don't know if that's a scarcity thing, or maybe it's a little bit of ego. I want to be the best. But I have one client who says her goal for her entire business, their whole motivation is to be the most beloved shop in their state. And I thought that was beautiful. Beloved. I mean, that's not I want to crush the competition. That's more like I want to be beloved. And it's like, wow, that's cool. And guess what? They are. They are beloved. Yeah.
I would say you could want both, though. I realize that there's room for everybody, and I've always had good relationships with my competitors. But that didn't mean I didn't want to be number one, because
Okay.
I'm, I mean, and it's there's a competitive aspect that is in me, and I mean that's and I think there is in a lot of people. But again, that doesn't mean that if one of them calls me up out of the blue and asks for help, which has happened, that I won't help them. So I mean, I invited my competitors to my trade show, and and frankly, I didn't, come on. I mean, they could not take one of my customers from me unless my customer was dissatisfied, which meant I was failing, which meant he was not my customer, right? Uh, and they might bring some of their customers, and maybe some of them will want to, be interested in me. I don't know, but having them there meant more people would come that weren't either of our customers, and that and that's better for all of us.
That is so cool. Love that. Oh my gosh. Wow, you really are special and unique. I know that you say that you aren't, but just the fact that you have shared with us that your work history and your mentality, that is remarkable and worthy of applause. Yes, yes. Okay, so now I gotta know. There's a why behind it all. We all have a reason why we get out of bed every day. What is your why?
Um, Well, in the day of retirement, the why is part of the struggle, and the purpose, and I'll be perfectly frank. Um, I have never failed in any job I've had. I've never been fired from any job I've had. Came pretty close, but I never got fired. And this is going back to 15 years old, shingling roofs for $2 an hour. Um, but I might fail at retirement. It's, it's you know you
I
know
love that.
and the challenge is you go from you're going and you're on the road 3 weeks out of the month, and you do this for decades, and you cut it off. It's life changing. And like one of my best friends is, when I started kind of confiding in him, he's like, "Oh, I could have told you that." He said, "She got too much motor to be satisfied hunting and fishing every month." And and so I don't know, but my why, throughout the years, has always been to serve others,
Mm.
and I've had a strong passion for the contracting community, and it goes way back, and I think it probably I was talking with a ad executive from the ad agency that was at Lennox at the time when I was first there. Just ran into him in the airport. We sat down and had a drink, and we're talking about, the old days, quote unquote. And he said that when he was there, he felt like the independent Lennox dealer was on a pedestal, and there was a sense of reverence and awe. And I sat back and I was like, that's it, and that was exactly the way it was. And I bought into that and internalized it, and I never lost it. And it I'll give you an example. When I would hire somebody at Service Nation, when I owned it and was running it, um, I usually did not interview anybody until they were ready to be hired, unless it was somebody I was recruiting directly for me. So if you're the I don't care if what the position was, I wanted to be the last interview, and unless it wasn't possible. So I would do this for a couple reasons. One is just it was a good gut check, and I can read people, and I've got more experience interviewing, and I could say, I'm not sure about this one. But the
Right.
other thing was I wanted to make sure I started um, teaching them about our culture and about our values. And one of the things that I would do is I would say, look, we are here because we are serving service trade contractors. And these are people that too often live lives of sustenance, and they deserve to live lives of prosperity. They're the people that keep our lights on at night, that make sure our showers are hot, that our toilets flush, that our homes are cool in the summer and warm in the winter. They deserve to live lives of prosperity. But there is, they may have been to a trade school, but there is no owner school. So that's where we come in, and we take guys who can turn a wrench, and we show them how to turn a profit. And you have to be almost messianic about that to work here. And if you aren't going to last. and you've got to serve these people, and you've got to help them achieve their dreams, and that's why we're here. And
Oh, bravo. Take my money. Take my money. I mean, it just feels so good that you said that to every single new hire. That's brilliant. You're absolutely right. When people are working for a business and they don't understand what the why is or what the voice of the company is, it's hard. It's harder to have consistent results, isn't it?
it's a constant challenge. I mean, we had our mission statement, which was to help contractors improve their business and financial performance, leading to a profitable exit strategy. Right? And I told this is not just words on paper. This is something that we got to live. Well, I mean, I put it on T-shirts and gave them out to people. I had it stenciled, on the walls in the office. I had it on cards, and I could still ask people, "So what's our mission?" And they couldn't come up with it. And it's a constant reinforcement. And I asked one woman, and she's got it in her email signature, and she couldn't come up with
Oh, wow.
it.
You know what
We
it
need.
is? It's so ingrained, they actually forget the words. It's like when you live in a neighborhood and you forget what the streets are because you're just so used to turning down those streets. I get it. I get it, but
I
you're right.
I I hope so. I mean, we also had, a set of values, and we would put each one of them on a business card, and we would pass out those cards one a month, and we would try to talk about that value for that month. And it's important. I mean, culture is so important. I didn't really understand it for the longest time, and if culture is your shared values as a company, and each of those values determine certain behaviors, right, that are consistent or inconsistent with the values. It governs how you act, and behaviors drive results. So your culture drives results, which is why Peter Drucker said, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." Right? Great strategy, you got to execute it.
Hmm.
Culture is self-executing. So
Hmm.
if you got a great culture, you don't have to be there and watch everything. I mean, that's the solution to authoritarian management. You don't need to look over people's shoulder if you've got the right culture, because
Yes.
they're self-governing. So
Yes. Oh my gosh, I have to do the heart. Let's see if Zoom will actually do the there we go. Zoom is doing it for me.
I don't even know about that.
The hearts, yeah. I'm expressive, and so I set off the things all the time. In fact, I figured out that when I start counting on my fingers, I set off the balloons, and then when I do this, I set off the fireworks. But anyway, I digress. But no, I agree with you 110%. Culture is so important. Culture, I think I told you about this in a previous conversation, but I had the pleasure of speaking with a Service World Expo person, Chris Michel, earlier. He's a training director, and we're talking about me being a speaker. I'm so excited that he's considering me. And I told him about the pasta method, and we had a pasta making cooking class. But PASTA stands for praise your employees, ask them for their input, share information with them, trust them to do the right thing, and allow them to act on their ideas. Pasta, very simple. But when we started making pasta as I'm teaching the class, that was like one of those, how are they going to forget? They're never going to forget, right? So I told him about the pasta method and standard operating procedures, and I'm going to create a hybrid class special for the expo, which I'm really excited about. But you're right, though, that I do everything I teach, I do with my own team at Rockstar Marketing. And yes, they are usually better at solving problems. And once I figured out as an owner to get out of my own way and let the team come up with ideas, ah, problems were solved, things were running better. I was the bottleneck and I didn't realize it. How do you teach shop owners that they are the bottleneck? How do you teach them to grow
well,
and nurture their team?
that so when we first launched Service Roundtable, which was our base program, which became very successful. People would ask me, "Well, how are you going to make sure they use your stuff?" I said, "I can't. Right? All I can do is make sure that I've got a fresh stream, and it's a free flowing stream of continuous information. And when they're thirsty enough, they'll drink. but I can't make them drink. There's the
Yes.
old adage of when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right? This is like the old joke about the how many psychologists does it take to change a light bulb? Just one, but the light bulb's got to really, really want to change.
That's an excellent dad joke. Yes,
I,
yes.
but I can't make somebody change because they won't. I mean, they'll revert back
Right.
until they're ready and until they want to. What I can do is offer them help and assistance and information and guidance. And you know, here's the other part of this though. They start making the changes. They start doing the things they should. They start listening. They start following, the guidance, and they become successful. I don't take credit for that because it's their efforts and it's their work. I I didn't do the work. I can't take the credit. And I learned, this was when I was in franchising. I learned really, I learned a very hard lesson that I would sit and stay up late worried about these guys' businesses and working hard on it. In the meantime, they're sleeping like a baby because they have delegated all their problems to me. But I don't have the ability to solve their problems. And so it was a recipe for failure for them and frustration for me.
Mm.
And that was a lesson that was hard to learn, and so I take a different approach to it.
Mm.
I'll help you. I mean, I'll give you, and I've mentored people, and I'll make recommendations. I'm not always right, but if you don't want to listen, that's okay. I don't have to mentor you. I mean, and 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 you said something really important though with your pasta method about where you let people try things, right? Um, I've let people try things that I knew were dumb ideas, and I knew they were going to fail, and they worked out spectacularly. And all you have to do is have something like that happen, and you look at the impact to your EBITDA, and you think, well, okay,
Okay.
maybe I should let more people try things. Maybe I'm maybe maybe these people who I hired because they're smarter than me really are smarter than me, right?
Yep.
You know, so
I
that's
love it.
that's
And
part of
I
leadership.
felt the same way. There have been times where like, oh no, 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 already tried that. But you're absolutely right. They do it, they take a fresh approach at a solving of a problem that you never even considered. And suddenly it's the best thing you've ever created. Like, how did that happen? And also too, it could be a timing to market, not just because you took it to market doesn't mean the timing was right. But
And
so many
even if
things.
even if they fail though, they're learning when they fail. And if I crush them and don't allow them to try, what's going to happen next time? They're not going to try, or they're going to try for somebody else, not me.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. So, okay, moving on. I want to know about the people that you serve. You're now entering your retirement phase. And I have a feeling that you're going to find a whole new group of people to serve, even if you don't know about them just yet. You're probably discovering them right around the corner. But um, we all have I think of the onion. There's the inner circle of the people that we serve, and then there's like the other rings, right? Who are you focused on serving at this era of your life?
Multiple constituencies. I mean, obviously, the first person to serve is your spouse, right? And I serve my wife, and probably can do a much better job at that. I try to serve my family and children and one granddaughter and another one about to pop.
Congratulations.
Maybe granddaughter or grandson, I don't know. But I sort of have there's multiple communities that we serve, right? So I have a community that is where I live, and I'm active in that community in different service projects, and I take advantage of the Rotary Club, and I can't believe more business owners are not members of Rotary Lions or Kiwanis or Optimist or Civitan or what have you. But you're going to eat lunch anyway. Why don't you eat lunch with community centers of influence, right?
Mm.
And even though these weren't my potential customers, I also found an attorney that I used. I found an insurance guy that I used. I found so many other people I used. Plus, it was a great way and a great vehicle for me to figure out how I can give back to my local community. And
Mm.
again, I believe that as you give, you receive. Um, so that's one constituency as well. There's my industry community, right? And I'm still serving that, and I still write for the trade magazines, and I write for the trade magazines even though I don't really have a company to promote at the moment, but I'm still writing for contractors, and I'm doing this podcast, and I'm doing other podcasts, and I'm and I do try to do motivational messages that I post on social media every day, and there's little things that I can do, and here's an example of how this can come full circle. Um, Years ago, I decided I screwed up and I got elected president of my neighborhood homeowners association. So
No good deed shall go unpunished.
yeah,
Okay, I hear you.
yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how do I communicate with these 168 homes in my neighborhood, and I took flyers and I would print, write stuff up and go door to door deliver. And I got to do something that's more efficient. And email lists were brand new then, and this was like, this was revolutionary stuff. And this is the days of AOL. And
Oh, wow. Okay.
so,
Okay.
so I thought, well, I'll try an email list. Well, I didn't want to seem stupid and do it wrong, so I decided I'd practice. So what was I going to practice about? Well, I don't know. I I was going to I was going to give a presentation, in the end of the year at a conference called Comanche Marketing. Why Comanche Marketing? Because I wanted to do it tactically, and I thought and I thought that was a good way to share tactics. Why Comanches? Because they were pretty tough Indians. Seminoles were also pretty tough, maybe even tougher, but
Go
Seminole
Knowles.
marketing didn't roll off the tongue like Comanche marketing. So it became Comanche marketing. So I started an email list called Comanche Marketing and invited 3 people. And what did I do? I posted marketing tips and ideas, and I got in there, just kept doing it. It seemed to be working okay. One day I looked at my numbers and there were 50 subscribers. How did I get 50 subscribers? And then it was north of 100, and then there was 800, and I wrote this for years, and I did, like, if you ever read the Clue Train Manifesto, which is by some of the original guys from Wired magazine, and talking about the internet and how you speak with a human voice and not a corporate voice, and how marketing evolved from people going to the marketplace on Saturday, and they went to buy and sell, but they also went to exchange news and information. And
Mhm.
that's the core of this, and how we got off track in the post-war era, when we had mass media advertising. So we had corporations speaking with the big megaphone, and they were just shouting at people, and how the internet has changed that, because it's come back to, instead of being a one-way dialogue, it is now a conversation again. And
Yes.
and so I had conversations in these posts, and I wrote about things I wrote about my wife's Parkinson's. I wrote about things going on in my life, and I can remember being at a conference, and some guy coming up to me that I really didn't know this person, and he's asking me very personal questions, and I'm thinking, how did he know this? And I realized he was reading Comanche, right? And I was having a relationship with thousands of people that I didn't know, but it was a personal relationship because I was real and I was honest. And so when it came time to raise money and then to launch Service Nation, where did it come from? People who read Comanche. and
Wow.
and for the longest time, that was where our initial membership base came. And this is something that I did without any thought of a return ever, for years. So
Wow. That's so, so cool. And yeah,
so
you really captured the whole essence of storytelling. And now there are industries talking about storytelling, But you're right. When emails were new, when social media was new, you really were on the ground floor. You were doing something really, really remarkable. So that's
You,
cool. That's how you launched into the franchise stuff. Yes.
No, that was because I had done the franchise stuff. So I'm working with small contractors there, and then I you know and I sort of left before they fired me, because they they had a change in the CEO of the company passed away. My boss moved up into his role, and things got very political beneath them, and it just kind of was an ugly deal. And so I went and did marketing consulting for a while, which is like going to grad school all over again.
Yep.
But I'm dealing with I'm dealing with big company problems like, how can you take Earthlink and get better test their offers, or what's a cover that's going to work for People Magazine,
Oh,
or
wow.
what configuration of an air conditioner will most appeal to consumers. And I'd been in this world of very small tactical ideas to help small businesses succeed. And so I didn't have that outlook for it. And I used Comanche to just spray those out. And
Love it. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Amazing. So you're right, though. You do have numerous communities that make up the whole because I don't know about you, but like I also have multiple communities. There's the dance community because my husband and I teach
mhm.
West Coast swing. There's, of course, the work community, the industry community, the literal neighborhood community. When you're walking through your neighborhood and everyone's saying hi, that's a good feeling when you can see someone driving by like, hey, what's up? You're right. And not just one small circle of influencers are are what makes up the people that we serve. It really is what is that phrase? The richest people in the world build or buy networks. And and yeah, if you can have a broader reach and you are able to serve more people, then they are fulfilled. And I love it that they all fell in love with you through your authentic writing through Comanche
Well, they
marketing.
didn't all fall in love
That's
with me. I got a few,
Did you get a little bit of pushback?
you know, and you got to learn how to just, so what? It's got to be water off a duck's back. I mean, why do people? I still do not understand why people get upset when somebody else posts something online that they don't like, that they've never met, is 1,000 miles away, or 10,000. Who cares? But anyway,
I get it.
that
I
that's
totally get it.
that's because I'm an engineer and I lack empathy. So,
It's all good. You're fine. You're
so
fine. Now,
but
I am curious though, advice. Like, my goodness, I feel like this entire session has been just a golden nugget, hoard, right? And so we're getting so much great advice. But if you could think of something to share that the viewers could take and run with about how to improve their life or improve their business, what, because you're going through it right now with retirement, do you have to share?
Well, first thing before we finish on the communities, it sort of, you talked about it, having being an onion. When you pull back the layers, what's the core? And the core of all of it for me, is my faith, and I believe that I serve Jesus Christ, and the best way to do that is by serving other people, and I'm a big believer in servant leadership, and I think that that's it's like a Simon Sinek book, Leaders Eat Last, where
Yes.
he quoted Marine Lieutenant General George Flynn, and he said that the Marines get to the back of the line of the chow line. Nobody tells the officers to go to the back; they just do it because it's a way to demonstrate that they've got the back of the guys who are going to be at the sharp end, when it counts. And I think that this is one of the fundamental tenets of business: is if you want to put the customer first, you have to put the customer second, and you have to put your people first.
Mm,
And if you treat your people and they know that you're treating them first and the customer is important, then they will put the customer first. So to put the customer first, put them second, put your people first.
mm,
Um, but advice. I think the biggest thing for people is don't be afraid to take a risk, and visualize what you want. I'm a really big believer in the power of visualization, and this is a really hard leap for somebody who's sort of got an analytic framework of life, but I've seen it work and I've experienced it too many times. And I know that what you visualize, we're not aware of the power of our subconscious mind. And when we do this, Dennis Waitley talked about it a lot. We program our subconscious like a robot, and it starts working on our problems. If we put the wrong thing in, it can work on that too. If we program ourselves to be miserable, we'll achieve it.
Mm,
So I think, visualizing things, and be careful who you share that with, because there are a lot of dream killers out there, and they aren't dream killers because they hate you. They're often dream killers because they love you, and they're afraid that you are going to succeed and leave them and forget about them. And so only share your visions with people who will reinforce them and will help you and encourage you, and hang on to it and don't give up on it and keep working on it, and you can achieve it. And again, I'm nothing special, and I was able to achieve a fair degree of business and financial success, and if I can do it, anybody can.
that's outstanding, Matt. You are such an inspiration. I love it. And also, too, what I love is that you are entering this new chapter of your life and you're continuing to write, but you've got this book coming out, the Contractor Stories. So I do hope that you will get to the editing sooner than later so you can get that thing out. But when it is released, please let me know, and then we'll do this again and
Well,
share with
I
the
just
audience
bought a
how they can get to
tractor.
it.
I just bought a tractor. I'm running out of excuses. I'm running out of things to buy. I got
Ah,
I got to go do some work.
that is so funny. But I do feel you though. I'm currently working on my book about women's social progress over 200 years. And I did the calculations. Hold on. Currently, it is 1,027 pages long. Can we say, can we say I need to slash and burn that thing down to like, a digestible 250 page tome? So yeah, I mean, and I know that most bestsellers nowadays are about in the 100 page realm because they're quick reads, right? So anyway, I counted it out. I was like, oh boy. So brother, I feel you with the editing part because it's like, how do you the stories are all like babies. How do you decide which ones to keep and which ones to not keep, right? Because they're all great stories.
That's why you can write more than one edition or more than one volume.
That is true. I am considering making this a series. I am.
Yep.
It's just, but that in itself is also intimidating because it's like, oh my God, I have 10 books in me. Oh my goodness.
How
But
many
we'll
chicken
figure it
soup
out.
books are there?
Huh?
How many chicken soup books are there?
Oh, you know what? Okay. Touche, touche. I love it. Okay. Thank you for reminding me that. You're right, because there's different ways to look at everything. So yeah, all right. I think what I'll do is I'll have the start off book that gives the overall view. And depending on that success, then I'll go into the series part because if I don't know, it's a lot, as you know, it's a lot of time and resources to do it. But man, it's so much fun, right? Like at least I've got two other books that I've done. So the gift to
You got
get
10 books.
principled.
You got 10 books sitting in front of you and you're complaining? Oh, come on.
Oh, I love it. You are serving me up on a silver platter. I love it. Okay, okay, okay. I love the challenge. I will get there. I will get there. I'm so excited. Matt Michelle, I am so happy that you spent some time with me. And I'm so glad that I went to your class at that AHR Expo in Chicago of January 2024. Everybody, if you would like to connect with Matt, please do. Matt, let's find out, how do people get in touch with you if they would like to know more about getting help from you, being in your circle of sphere influence?
If you want to reach out to me directly, my email address is Matt, Matt, Michel, Michel at mail, not Gmail, at mail.com. And my mobile number, and I don't care if you call me on it. I'm, uh, if I can't talk, I'll tell you, but it's 214-995-8889. It's 214-995-8889. You can just search for me on LinkedIn or search for me on Facebook. There are more than one Matt Michel's, but there's not all of them have a face for radio, so you could probably spot me.
I love it. Well, you've been a blessing. Everybody, I hope that you enjoyed getting to know Matt, and please do contact him. A true leader who gives out his personal email and his cell phone, that's a winner. So please take advantage of contacting him if there's something that you want to learn, especially his upcoming book. All right. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.